What the hell did we just witness? Sami Zayn didn't just lose his temper on SmackDown, he unraveled. He cracked. He absolutely detonated in front of Jacob Fatu, and if you blinked for even a second, you might have missed the exact moment where frustration turned into full-blown meltdown. And I'm going to say something right now that might make some of you mad. Sami Zayn might be the problem. Yeah, I said it. Before you jump down to the comments to torch me, answer this first. Do you think Sami Zayn crossed the line when he confronted Jacob Fatu? Or was he completely justified? I want real answers, not fence-sitting. Because what happened on the February 27, 2026 episode of SmackDown wasn't just another backstage argument. It was raw. It was ugly. And it may have just shifted the entire trajectory of Sami's career. Earlier in the night, chaos hit before the show could even properly breathe. JUSO was found laid out backstage. Attacked. Wrecked. Officials scrambling. Medical staff rushing in. The camera catching just enough to make it feel real and uncomfortable. You could feel the tension through the screen. And here's the thing, nobody knew who did it. No suspects. No clear footage. Just destruction and questions. And then enters Sami Zayn. Instead of shock, instead of concern, instead of rallying the locker room, he went hunting. He walked with purpose. That intense, twitchy, barely holding it together energy we've seen before. But not like this. Not this unhinged. He didn't look like a man seeking answers. He looked like a man looking for someone to blame. And he found Jacob Fatu. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Jacob Fatu, the powerhouse. The wrecking ball. The man who doesn't need sneak attacks because he can flatten you in the middle of the ring. Why would Fatu attack JUSO backstage in the shadows? Sami didn't care. He got right in Fatu's face. Accusations flying. Tone aggressive. No evidence. No proof. Just emotion. Pure, boiling emotion. Tell me this in the comments. If you were Jacob Fatu, how would you react to being accused like that with zero proof? Because Fatu didn't back down. He fired right back. He reminded Sami that maybe he should focus on his own failures. That maybe losing his Elimination Chamber qualifier had something to do with his own shortcomings, not conspiracies. Not sabotage. Not ghosts in the hallway. And you could see it. That line hit Sami like a slap. The camera zoomed in, and you could literally watch the gears turning in his head. Anger. Doubt. Embarrassment. Pride. For a split second, it looked like he was going to backtrack. Like he realized he'd gone too far. And then boom. The meltdown. He started ranting. Talking in circles. Bringing up missed opportunities. Talking about how his head hasn't been right. How things haven't been adding up. It wasn't just about Jay anymore. It wasn't even about Fatu. It was about him. And that's what makes this scary. Because this wasn't a heroic defense of a friend. It felt personal, insecure, desperate. He accused. He denied. He paced. He nearly contradicted himself in the same breath. 1 second, he was sure Fatu did it. The next he sounded unsure. Then he got louder to cover the uncertainty. That's not confidence. That's unraveling. Quick question. Do you think Sami Zayn is cracking under pressure? Yes or no? Don't just type yes or no. Explain why. Because here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say out loud. Sami has been spiraling for weeks. He didn't qualify for the Elimination Chamber. He's been on the outside looking in while others, some less experienced, some less popular, move ahead. Opportunities slipping. Momentum fading. And when JUSO got attacked, instead of seeing a tragedy, maybe Sami saw something else. Opportunity. Think about it. A vacant spot. A path reopened. Chaos in the ranks. I'm not saying he did it. But I am asking the question nobody else is brave enough to ask. What if Sami's anger wasn't about justice? What if it was about desperation? And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. It should. Because that confrontation with Fatu didn't feel like a man defending a friend. It felt like a man terrified of being left behind. Let's break down the body language. Fatu stood firm. Shoulders squared. Calm, but intense. He didn't flinch. Sami, on the other hand, was erratic. Hands moving. voice cracking, eyes darting. That's not the posture of someone certain. That's someone fighting something internal. And here's something even more interesting. When Fatu reminded him about his own recent failures, Sami didn't deny it. He didn't clap back with stats. He didn't defend his record. He admitted his head hasn't been screwed on straight. That is massive. When was the last time you heard Sami Zayn publicly admit he's not mentally locked in? That's vulnerability, but it's also instability. Now I want you to imagine something. What happens if the locker room starts thinking the same thing we're thinking right now? What if they start looking at Sami differently? Trust is fragile in WWE. Once you're seen as unstable, everything you say becomes suspect. And if this storyline is going where I think it's going, we might be watching the birth of a completely different Sami Zayn. Not the lovable underdog. Not the heart-on-his-sleeve fighter. But something colder. More unpredictable. And let me ask you something that might divide this comment section in half. Would you support a full Sami Zayn heel turn right now? I need to know. Because after that meltdown, the seeds are planted. The audience heard the cracks. Fatu heard the cracks. The locker room definitely heard the cracks. And if JUSO comes back pointing fingers? Imagine that confrontation. Imagine Jay saying, "Why were you so quick to blame someone else, Sami?" Imagine Sami getting defensive again. Imagine the paranoia growing. This could snowball fast. And here's the wild part. Jacob Fatu didn't escalate it physically. He didn't shove Sami. He didn't swing. He didn't even threaten. He just stood there and let Sami self-destruct. That's power. That's composure. And honestly, that makes Fatu look stronger coming out of this. So here's another question for you. Who gained more from that segment? Sami Zayn or Jacob Fatu? Because emotionally, Sami lost control. Narratively, he may have just entered the most compelling chapter of his career. There's something magnetic about watching someone teeter on the edge. And whether you're angry at him or defending him, you're reacting. And reaction equals relevance. But relevance built on instability can backfire. If Sami keeps spiraling, the fans might turn. And once the fans turn, it's a long climb back. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room either. What if Jacob Fatu actually didn't attack JUSO? Then Sami just accused an innocent man publicly. That's not leadership. That's reckless. And if Fatu did do it, then Sami just poked a sleeping monster. Either way, this isn't over. Not even close. This feels like the first domino in a chain reaction that could explode at Elimination Chamber or even WrestleMania. Imagine Sami costing Fatu something huge out of spite. Imagine Fatu snapping and deciding enough is enough. Imagine JUSO returning and revealing footage that changes everything. There are so many directions this could go, and every single one of them starts with that meltdown. So I'm asking you one more time. Was Sami Zayn justified in confronting Jacob Fatu? Or did he embarrass himself? Be honest. Don't play safe. Because moments like this are turning points. Careers pivot on them. And whether you love him or you're starting to doubt him, you cannot deny one thing. Sami Zayn made sure nobody is ignoring him anymore. Now drop your prediction in the comments. Does this storyline end with redemption, betrayal, or total chaos? And if you've got a wild theory about who really attacked JUSO, I want to read it. Let's tear this apart together.